You got the job, maybe the relationship, maybe the apartment you used to stare at on Pinterest. And somewhere between getting it and living it, a quiet question showed up. Is this it? That question isn't ingratitude, it's not depression, it's the most important signal your mind will ever send you. And most people spend their entire lives trying to drown it out. In this video, I'll show you number one, why the emptiness shows up hardest right after you succeed, and what that actually means about you, number two, the exact mechanism behind why more achievement, more money, and more love cannot fill the gap, no matter how much you get, number three, what the emptiness is actually pointing toward, and the one shift that changes the experience from the inside out. Let's get into it. A woman named Sarah, mid-30s, marketing director, good relationship, nice place in the city, sat across from a therapist and said something that stopped the session cold. She said, I feel guilty even saying this because I know how lucky I am, but I wake up most mornings and feel nothing, not sad, just hollow. Her therapist had heard this before, a lot, from people with far less than Sarah and from people with far more. The feeling doesn't care about your net worth, and that's the first clue that we've been looking for the answer in completely the wrong direction. There's a researcher at Tel Aviv University named Tal Ben-Shahar. He was a national squash champion. Years of training, sacrifice, singular focus. And when he won the national title, he stood there with the trophy and felt what he later described as a deep, quiet deflation. He thought winning would feel like an arrival. Instead, it felt like a door opening onto a longer, darker hallway. Ben-Shahar went on to teach the most popular course in Harvard's history, a course on happiness, and the first thing he taught his students was a concept he called the arrival fallacy. The belief that when I get there, I'll finally feel okay. The fallacy part is that there doesn't exist, not in the way we imagine it. Here's why this matters for you specifically. The reason the emptiness hits hardest after success is not because you're broken or ungrateful. It's because success removes the one thing that was keeping the question quiet. Distraction. When you're grinding toward a goal, the chase itself fills the space. Your attention has somewhere to go. You're busy. You're striving. The hollow feeling doesn't get airtime. But the moment you arrive, the noise stops, and in that silence, the thing that was always there, the question underneath all the questions, gets loud. Why do I feel empty inside even now? That question is not a malfunction. It is your consciousness doing exactly what it's designed to do. Vedic philosophy has a specific word for this. The soul, or what they call the Atma, has an inherent quality called ananda, which translates roughly as bliss or deep completeness. But here's the key part. Prabhupada, one of the most influential Vedic teachers of the last century, taught that this quality of ananda is the soul's own nature. It's not something you acquire, it's something you are. And when you look for it in a job title or a relationship or a bank account, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just looking in the wrong direction. The takeaway from this section is simple but not easy. The emptiness that shows up after achievement is not evidence that you chose the wrong goal. It's evidence that you were looking for something real in a place that can only hold a reflection of it. Let me tell you about a study that should have changed how we think about ambition, but mostly got ignored. In 2010, Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton published research out of Princeton that tracked the emotional well-being of 450,000 Americans. What they found was that income did improve day-to-day emotional experience, but only up to a point. Around $75,000 a year at the time, the curve flattened. Beyond that threshold, more money stopped moving the needle on how good people actually felt in their daily lives. Now, a more recent study pushed that number higher, closer to $100,000 in some regions. But the shape of the curve is the same. There's a floor below which financial stress genuinely damages well-being. Get above that floor and you're no longer buying more happiness. You're buying more stuff and calling it happiness. This is what Vedic philosophy calls Maya, often translated as illusion, but a more accurate translation might be that which is not. The things we chase are real, the promotion is real, the relationship is real. But the idea that they will permanently fill the gap, that's the illusion. Not because the things are bad, but because they are finite, and what we're actually hungry for is not. Here's the mechanism. Every external thing you acquire works through contrast. The new apartment feels amazing for about 3 months, and then it becomes the baseline. Your nervous system adapts. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Your emotional thermostat resets to where it was before. You need a bigger hit to feel the same lift. This is not a character flaw, it is literally how the brain is wired. So the person who tells themselves, I just need one more promotion and then I'll feel settled, is not lazy or shallow. They're caught in a loop that the brain itself is running, and the loop will keep running until something interrupts it. What the research on sustained well being actually shows, and this is where the Vedic tradition and modern psychology land in the same place, is that the things which predict deep, lasting life satisfaction are not external at all. They're meaning, they're genuine connection. They're the sense that your existence is contributing something beyond itself. These are not things you can buy or achieve, they are orientations. They come from the inside moving outward, not the outside moving in. The practical shift here is this: stop asking, what do I need to get to feel complete? And start asking, what am I doing that comes from a place of completeness? That's a different question, and it points somewhere different. There's a metaphor that shows up across multiple wisdom traditions, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. Imagine a wave. The wave has a shape, a size, a direction. It rises, it moves, it crashes. From the surface, it looks like its own thing, separate, defined, complete. But the wave is not separate from the ocean. It never was. The wave is the ocean moving. And the moment the wave forgets that, if we can stretch the metaphor that far, it starts trying to find stability by being a bigger wave, a faster wave, a more impressive wave. None of that works because what it's actually missing isn't more waveness. It's the recognition of what it already is. This is the core of what Prabhupada was pointing at when he described the soul's condition. The feeling of incompleteness, the reason you feel empty inside even when life looks full, is not a gap you need to fill. It is a misidentification you need to see through. You are identifying with the wave and forgetting the ocean. Now, I want to be careful here because this can sound abstract in a way that doesn't actually help you on a Tuesday morning. So let me make it concrete. Positive psychology researchers have studied what they call self-transcendent experiences. Moments where a person feels connected to something larger than their individual concerns. What they find consistently is that these moments produce the highest reported levels of meaning and well being. And here's what's interesting: these experiences are not always dramatic, they're not always meditation retreats or religious conversions. Sometimes it's being fully absorbed in a piece of music, sometimes it's the moment you realize you've genuinely helped someone. Sometimes it's sitting outside early in the morning before the day starts and just being quiet. What these moments have in common is that the self, the small, striving, comparing, achieving self, temporarily steps back, and in that stepping back, something that was always there becomes available. Call it presence, call it awareness, call it the deeper nature of consciousness. The Vedic tradition calls it the Atma recognizing its own Ananda. The reason why do I feel empty inside is such a persistent question for high functioning, externally successful people is that they've spent years strengthening the achieving self and almost no time at all cultivating any relationship with the awareness underneath it. Here's what this looks like practically. The shift is not about quitting your job or renouncing your ambitions. It's about changing what those things are in service of. When your work is an expression of something genuine in you, not just a vehicle for status, the work itself starts to feel different. When your relationships are chosen from a place of genuine care rather than a need to be completed by another person, they stop feeling like they're failing you. Prabhupada described this as acting from the level of the soul rather than the level of the ego. Modern psychology calls it intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. Same observation, different language, same result. When you stop performing your life for an audience, even an internal one, and start living it from the inside, the hollow feeling begins to quiet. Not because you've solved a problem, but because you've stopped running from a signal. The emptiness was never your enemy. It was the most honest thing about you. The part of you that knew, even when everything looked fine, that there was something more accurate to live toward. And if you've already tried to live from that inside-out orientation, if you've read the books, done the journaling, understand the concept, but the hollow feeling is still there when things get quiet, that's usually not a knowledge problem. That's a conversation problem. Specifically, the kind of conversation you can only have when someone is sitting with your actual situation, not a general framework, not a course, not a video. If you've been circling this feeling for a while and you're ready to get specific about what's keeping you stuck, I do free one on one consultation calls. 30 minutes, no pitch, just a real conversation about where you are and what the next honest step looks like for you. And you'll walk away from that call with a clear direction, whether we ever work together again or not. The link to book is in the description at dailymindreset.com. Consultation, it's free, it's personal, and it might be the most useful 30 minutes you spend this month. If this kind of thinking is useful to you, subscribe. I put out new videos every week that go this deep. I genuinely like to know, when in your life has the emptiness shown up the loudest? Was it during a hard season or right after a win?